5:30.
Item 1, call the meeting to order and record members present and absent.
Ellis,
Here.
Parker,
Yes.
Slater, here, McDermott, here, Martin.
Yes.
Item 2, read the open meeting compliance statement.
I, the undersigned clerk of the Board of Education of the Alva Independent School District Number 1 of Woods County, Oklahoma, certify that prior to December 15 of the last calendar year, the date, time, and place of this regular meeting was filed in the office of the County Clerk of Woods County, Oklahoma. I also certify that at least 24 hours prior to this meeting, excluding Saturdays, Sundays, and holidays, notice of the date, time, place, and agenda of this meeting was posted in prominent public view at the location of the meeting. Witnessed by hand this 29th day of June, 2015.
Item 3, consent agenda. All of the following items which concern reports and items of a routine nature normally approved by one board vote unless any board member desires to have a separate vote on any or all of these items. The consent agenda consists of the discussion, consideration, and approval of the following items. 3A, addition of items of new business.
Have none.
3B, minutes of June 1st, 2015 regular board meeting.
Anybody see any problems with the minutes? Okay.
3C, approval of activity account fundraisers, attachment A. 3D, approval of inter-account transfers. 3E, approval of Booster Club sanctioning requests.
'" Commend the Alva Middle School Booster Club. They sure ended the year much better than they started it.
Are we on the Booster Club thing?
They did a good job.
On CFBBE, on middle school Booster Club, it said funds are used for various athletic equipment, uniforms, and/or other supplies, and this is for the middle school. Who determines the needs, and how are the funds divided? 6 through 8.
Coaches, if they need anything, they submit a request to the Booster Club, and Booster Club needs some votes. Did you ask how they decide how?
Yeah, is there any
to
conflict in it says and other supplies needed for athletic teams? Is there?
It's mostly food and meals when they're out of town. They included, what did they include on their uniforms? I don't even know what all they included on their athletic equipment uniform. In the past, they bought for baseball. They bought
The one thing that I was wondering, is it pretty evenly spread out?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
If a coach needs something that's outside of the realm of what we do with our athletics activity account, they will submit a request to the Booster Club, and they usually are pretty good about spreading it out. They spend a lot of money on our athletic concerts. That's where most of their funds go.
Okay. It was kind of worded differently, so I just was wondering about that.
Yeah, they have probably actually spent more on our non-revenue sports the last couple of years than they have the others.
Any more questions on 3E?
What on this grade athletics, what are trailer sales? And the parking under fundraisers, contributions and other lists. It says, CFBBE. It says trailer sale, $1,400, parking, $2,480. What does that mean, trailer?
Trailer sales and concessions,
Is that the little trailer?
Well, where are you?
On Black and Gold Booster Club.
Yeah, I'm trying to see what,
on the black and gold, not the middle school.
Black and Gold Booster.
okay. Would that be their concessions from last year, since they didn't have a concession stand to work out of the high school?
Okay. I just was,
The
that-
parking is the parking up at the college football field.
they get money.
The black and gold, and then that's how they raise a little money, and then the coaches request money for
You pay to park.
different,
Okay.
pay to park.
Okay.
for Linda.
Okay. Well, I just didn't understand what the parking.
That's either $50 for 5 games or $150. I can't remember which.
When it said parking, I'm going, you know.
They sell
Okay.
that, they sell seats on. or
Yeah,
parking
we've got one
spots
of
on
them.
that
I just
first
didn't,
level.
I didn't know that that's what that was.
We have other booster clubs, right, that have not submitted
Correct,
the correct paperwork,
correct.
and they'll do that.
They have all
We
the
may have it
information.
We may have it Thursday night. FFA usually with their 4 accounts, they don't usually close their books till June 30th, and theirs is usually a meeting after everybody else's that we get theirs.
But we have all the booster clubs sanctioned.
Any other questions? 3E. Okay, 3F, approval of function changes.
And again, function changes, there's no money added or decreased, it's just moving around. A lot of it has to do with insurance, and then the powers to be will come in and like on that 12/097/2330, 12/097/2340, State Department wanted us to change the OCAS system to the 2340, $55,000 to meet their requirements. I don't know why they do those things, to be real honest with you. We had less parent travel this year in our co-op, so we decreased some of that money. And we had additional occupational therapy and physical therapy in the co-op, so we had to add to that. But it's just an in and out thing. No new monies to the budget whatsoever.
Sorry about that.
We didn't get very far.
Okay.
We're on 3F.
Ready for 3F?
We've
Oh,
looked at
we are
3F.
on it.
Now we're ready for the next one.
Okay.
3G.
3G, child nutrition report.
Looks like through August the 20th through May the 30th, our expenditures are about $417,000. Our income was about $367,000, and that's including labor. And so that's about normal what we have to put into our child nutrition program to make everything work and so forth. So again, our federal reimbursement was up this year, so we anticipate hopefully that the administrators will do a good job again next year and get all that free and reduced information in to get that up and going. And that's, would allow us to do some more grant writing and that type of thing if we ever get that up to a higher point, because a lot of those grants and everything are on that free and reduced number. And I think right now we're sitting somewhere right at 52% of that.
Has Verlita said anything about any of the federal guidelines being changed, like,
Well, they're just like everything else in the legislative situation. There are new laws and everything coming out. We don't have them all and how it's going to affect us to a certain degree. But the last time I talked to her, there might be some easement of those type of requirements for next year. So that maybe not as stringent on some of the areas. Because there were just a jillion complaints last year over the food and everything throughout the United States.
well, I saw a little blurb in the paper about some of the things being, like the serving and the choices that the kids were going to be able to make, that were going to be different, and, you know, not just putting something on the plate expecting the kids to eat it.
Yeah.
You know, and then the kids throwing it away.
I think they're looking at that, Linda, but I'm not sure on that, to be honest.
3H, declare the items on attachment B as surplus property.
And as usually during the summer months, we're going to the buildings, cleaning out things. And these are things that we're not using anymore that we need to declare surplus. And old computers at the library or at the high school biology room and those types of things. So we're not using them anymore. And then we're fixing to redo the baseball field a little bit, so we need to clear all the baseball fencing material surplus so that we can get rid of that. I don't think we'll get any money out of any of the baseball. We'll just have to give it away if somebody wants it.
Are these round tables and oblong tables folding? You know, at Lincoln?
Yes. I don't know. I have to
Okay,
think.
it's okay. I didn't put you on.
Does the refrigerator work at Lincoln?
I was wondering about that. It does work?
Well, I mean, yes, if you got a pan underneath it.
It's got a small leak, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
just tiny. But yeah, it works. I mean, I'd have to look. I don't know. I can't remember.
Where were they, you know that?
I think they were in that room down there.
Okay.
A lot of this.
Downstairs in there, just
A lot of
shoved in
this-
there. We don't know how long they were there.
A lot of this is what
Stuff.
just was in there that we're just.
What's the sewing machines like? Oh, the high school's not here.
I imagine
I know, I
that
wondered
there
about
are
that too.
individual singer sewing machines that the kids were using that's
So there was
Okay,
Nina.
for-
been there
Yeah.
since
Yeah.
1975, probably.
She had them stored in the back of her room. Well, ever since I got here. A 930 Bernina is pretty
You said what?
So the Bernina, the 930 is pretty old. I have one of those that I've had for a long time, almost 40 years.
And it still
It's
works?
Oh, yeah.
Good machine.
Very good machine.
Very good
Very good machine. It won't wear out.
Madison might like that.
I know.
And I'm sure these have all had their maintenance on them every year, so they've probably been cleaned and oiled and all
I
that
thought they were
stuff.
wore out.
Yeah, they're not, those wouldn't be worn.
I move that we approve the consent agenda, those referenced in item 3A through 3H.
Second.
Slater?
Yes.
McDermott?
Aye.
Martin?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Ellis?
Aye. Item 4, vote to approve or not to approve the purchase order encompasses for the following funds for FY 2015. A, General Fund Number 11, number 902 through 938, with change orders 0 through 938, and payroll number 50,225, and payroll change order 50,000 through 50,025, for a year-to-date total of $9,179,279.06. B, Cooperative Education Fund number 12 with change orders 1 through 76 and payroll change orders 50,000 through 50,011 for a year-to-date total of $556,577.01. C, Building Fund number 21 with change orders number 1 through 35 and payroll change orders 50,000 through 50,003 for a year-to-date total of $150,122.64. D, Child Nutrition Fund number 22 with change orders 1 through 34 and,
I think we're short.
We don't have those.
oh,
We only have 2.
We only have Fund 11.
oh. Yep.
Terry runs those off and gives those to me and has them all stacked and separated. I didn't wind up with any spares of those. I don't know.
We've got the first 2.
I'm not sure that we're doing those this month, to be real honest with you.
Are there, we'll look at them, there's no expenditures there, and there's no, see, there's nothing new out there on the right-hand side of the
That's
paper.
true.
Yeah.
So there's nothing new. She didn't have any.
She didn't have any, we'll have them at the July board meeting, so.
Yes.
Okay,
There were no
Okay.
additional expenditures or changes.
okay.
And in the General Fund 11, Time Clock Plus, that's going to be an electronic time card for the school district. Joanne has such a hard time with the old time clocks that she's got to go back and forth. So it's going to be computer based. Our teachers are going to be able to sign on, sign off on that. So anytime that you're in, you just go to a computer and you'll sign on that way. Eventually, it will give her the information on there on type of leave, how long a leave, and that type of thing, and be connected back to her mass communications program. So that will be something that will be utilized in the future. Treat Solutions 903 is just our summer maintenance for all of our cleaning supplies and so forth. The soundboard at the high school, we had to upgrade a little bit to get a better sound out of that, and that is 909. High Techtronics 918. We encumbered about, I think it was around $34,000 to do all of our schools and so forth. And we added 3 or 4 more slide cards for Lincoln School, and that's the cost of that. And then Alva High School getting replacement of some new desks and chairs, 930s, and Industries for $4,300. ABC Company, 935. Annual repair on the big activity bus. And the were the different athletic banners that need to be added from this year's great year activities and athletics for the high school gymnasium.
And they cost $2,000?
Well, when you order 17 of them, when we had that type of success. Larry, new and some replacements, to be real honest with you.
I think the response of the banners in the gym and around there is just really positive. I see people's response and they talk about them.
So,
I
trying to
think it's
keep
really
up.
positive.
Just had a lot of activities that did well this year.
Painful to be successful.
And
It is to Larry.
So I'm not paying any attention to you. You're full of it.
I know.
any questions on any other encumbrances?
I make a motion, we approve item 4A. That's only one, isn't it?
Correct.
That's right.
Second.
Parker,
Yes.
Slater,
Yes.
McDermott, Martin,
Yes.
Ellis.
Aye.
Resignations received to date, we have Randy Hembry, who is a paraprofessional, is actually going to go work for Upward Bound program and still be in our school district. And also Alicia Harding, special ed, teacher and director of special ed. Finally, her husband got the okay. He will be the new assistant warden at the Hominy prison. And she got a job in special ed Friday at Hominy to teach special ed. So we're in the process of switching people around to make sure that we have everybody covered in that respect. Reassignments, Mark Carroll will be the new IT director when Tony actually retires at the end of August. We are looking for somebody to help Mark as an assistant role. Right now, we haven't had a whole lot of applications. Strategic planning, had a meeting on the 17th, very good, informative meeting. I think the consensus of the strategic planning wants us to look at what we would do with the existing elementary schools if we do build a new school, and to look at different avenues of displacing those elementary schools if needed be. Also think they do not like the idea of adding on to Washington and to Longfellow, because of any time you attach new buildings to an old building, you have to retrofit the old building, and it depends at what we really wanted to do, what it would cost, but it would be an additional $1.3 to $3.5 million on bringing it up to code and so forth. So they want us to start looking at different avenues of looking at displacing some of these buildings and give us some idea of what we're going to do. I think the consensus is to keep a pre-K kindergarten center at Washington, and then build one first building a first grade through fifth grade center to house all of our students on one side. See a lot of educational advances to that, more vertical, horizontal alignment, students knowing each other for a longer period of time, not having such a transition period from one school to the next. So those things were brought out, and so that's where we're at on that. Legislative updates, I don't have a whole lot because there's just a lot out there. I haven't had time to really digest a whole lot and how it affects schools, but they will be coming later on. And a little bit of communications. Mr. Sweatfigger gave you some information on his summer basketball camp and summer pride, what they're doing in the weight programs and so forth. And they've had a lot of students being involved with it, and a lot of kids, especially those 4th through 8th grade, a lot of number of kids being involved with that. So he wanted to share with you on that. You have any questions? Okay.
Item 6. Items of current business. 6A, discussion with possible board action vote to approve or not to approve the offer of employment to the following certified personnel for the 2015-2016 school year. 6A1, Sierra Walker.
Sierra was chemistry teacher for us last year. She does have a degree in agriculture and also a master's in agriculture. She has work experience in feedlots and so forth. And talking to Mr. Potter and to Mr. Nation says that her educational background and experience established her as the most qualified applicant for this position. But that's a generic term, to be real honest with you. I think Sierra brings some common sense to the ag, and also the willing to work. And I'm just going to ask her a few questions and everything, if you don't mind. Sierra, when you and Mr. Nation talked, you talked about Mr. Nation wanted to help you bring in ag production. Is that correct? And the things. And what are you going to try to do with the ag production?
We want to include the new AgriScience,
Okay.
which is it's kind of like a science fair, but there's a lot more to it. There's a public speaking part to it. You have to do some extra research. You have to have all your research gathered up, and you have to have daily logs on it. You get to go to a science fair, and then they come by, and you have to answer all these questions and tell them about your project. And then there's some applications you have to put in. So it's a bigger process than a regular science fair, and it gets that public speaking part into it, which is if kids who can't do speeches, that's not their thing, or maybe they're not very good at memorizing. This is something they'll really want to do because it's their work, and they know it, and they'll be able to express it a lot better. And then more, some greenhouse production, more of more involvement and more recruitment.
And you do have experience in wildlife, and you want to continue that in your curriculum in the classroom?
Yes, I got to work for the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department, and I have a minor in it, so it was very big in my life, and I would like to teach that as well. I think kids would really love to learn about the wildlife and invasive species and things like that.
Okay, and how are you going to communicate with your patrons and with your students?
I hope to start a student-based ag newsletter every month that tells you the accomplishments that we've achieved and what's going to be coming up or going on, and that would be I would be helping with that, but the kids are totally in charge, and they will be putting it out. And it would be, if you get into the ag communications class, if that's what we have, that would be your job. And the reporter will be, the reporter's job is to get the information out. They'll actually have something to do with a newsletter.
And you also mentioned something about students being involved in the community and giving back to the community and citizen projects.
Yes, I hope to do some citizenship projects because the community gives so much to the program. It's really good for those kids to get out there and do something for the community. So an example would be at a nursing home. I did it back at my junior college. We went out, we rototilled, we worked up plants, and we put in vegetables and flowers for the elderly so that they had something to enjoy while they were there.
But through the process, Mr. Nation and Mr. Potter interviewed, I think, 5 total candidates, and feel like that Sierra is the best candidate at this position. And Mr. Nation really wants to work together with Sierra and build these programs. We have such a great judging team that, we have representatives that just getting back from Scotland at this point in time. And we want to build those other programs back up to that and complement those. And feel like with Mr. Nation and Mrs. Walker working together with this curriculum and these new ideas, that we will build a program back up. So upon their recommendation, I'd recommend to the board that Sierra Walker be our low ag instructor for the 2015-2016 school year.
ask questions?
Sure.
You talked about student recruitment, and I know that probably a lot of the class schedules are already set for this upcoming year. So how are you going to recruit students for those classes?
I have to do something similar that we did in environmental science, where I had my environmental science class develop a lesson plan and an activity, and we went over to the kindergarten first grade classes, and they actually presented that information to the kids, and they got to do the hands-on activity. I hope to do something with the classes that I have and go in and do an ag in the classroom with the younger classes, so they see what we really do, what you can learn. It's not, it's so much. It's not just little stuff. And also, I hope to have a day where we do. It's a workshop day, and I did it at my student teaching facility. And what we did was we set up several workshops, and the grade school kids and middle school kids got to come in, and there was a plumbing workshop where you got to stick PVC together, and then you got to go out and hold a sheep, and you got to pet a cow, and then there was a plant a bean where you got to plant a little bean in a little tiny Ziploc sack, and you got to wear it around your neck, and the bean would germinate as you were walking around.
Take it clear of the top.
So that would get the kids more involved, and the younger kids would go, oh wow, these are really hands-on, that would be really fun to do. I look forward to doing that kind of thing. And they had a really, really successful ag program, and that's one of the things that made it successful.
What activities, what contests would you anticipate your students being involved in the upcoming year?
Depending on the classes, I hope to have speech. I hope some kids give some speeches. It's going to be a requirement. If you're going to be in an active education class, you're going to have to do a speech. If you're going to be in a horticulture class, hopefully land judging, rangeland judging, maybe floriculture, maybe an entrepreneurship proficiency, which they grow their plant, they do a little business, and then they get to actually apply for a proficiency. In wildlife, you can do a string class, you can do land judging, rangeland judging in that as well. And the younger kids green hand contest, there's a contest for freshmen, and it's like a quiz bowl contest, and they have to learn like a bunch of history of FFA, and then they get to go be quizzed on it, like an academic role, which is, you can have several teams, so if you're a freshman, I expect you to be on the team. It's a requirement. And you can have several teams, so everybody should be get a place on there.
Would you be involved in the showing of animals as opposed to not doing that?
I'm for the showing of animals. Mr. Nation and I talked, and he would be willing to take sheep and pigs, and I would do cattle and goats. And I was into that when I was in high school. I did all three species, and then I did goats later when I was in college and helping my little brother out. So we did some of that.
Would all students be required to do a project?
Not necessarily a show project, but a record book, a proficiency, a CDE event, creed speaking, some type of event. The only way to keep your chapter involved is to tell them you got to do something if you want to be part of the chapter. It's how you stay involved and how you become a successful program and get those kids to come up and want to be doing that when you leave.
Would the newspaper be considered a project?
Yes, I think it would be, yeah, because it's in ag communications, and you can actually go into ag comm and journalism in college. So creating those job skills, I hope to create job skills for kids to move on to either higher education or to go out to the workforce, and they have skills available for them, and they're not just, hey, what am I going to do? I know what I'm going to do.
questions?
Based upon Mr. Nation's recommendation, I'm going to move that we approve Sierra Walker as the ag teacher for 2015-16 school year. Sorry, struggling.
Second.
Slater,
Yes.
McDermott,
Aye.
Martin,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Ellis.
Aye.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Sierra. Let me see you go to work Wednesday.
You did a nice job on this one.
You
You
did.
did a very nice job.
Thank you.
That would
You
not
can
have been easy.
No.
You did a nice job.
You can stay, or if you need to leave, you can leave. You know what?
And we're gonna be here forever.
No, we're not, sir.
Coach Pete, we're not gonna be here forever, I promise.
He probably said, I changed my mind, I don't want the job.
Oh, yeah, I just signed the contract
Very well.
Monday, Tuesday, either Monday or Tuesday, can't remember, and, on a house, because I was living in Cherokee, but I'm moving to Alva,
All right.
Very good.
Good.
so I'm gonna go pack.
You go back.
Don't ask me to help.
Yeah, yeah. We've already agreed.
Had my fill.
Good job.
Good job.
Okay, 6B, discussion of possible board action, vote to approve or not to approve the chart of accounts for the activity fund for FY 2016.
I think these are all the accounts taken out, tried to clean it up, so it'd be my recommendation to the board that we approve the chart of accounts as presented.
So moved.
These are the same categories that we've had in the past. We haven't added any or,
No.
Just this one, not the one I'm doing, or all of them.
The chart of accounts.
oh, we're just
This
doing
one.
the chart. I'm
The chart
sorry.
of
I'm
accounts.
sorry.
Chart of
I'm
accounts,
sorry
this one
about
here. Listing of accounts, we've gotten rid of Rodeo Club and all those that we haven't used for a while and so forth.
A second, sorry.
Oh, you're all right.
McDermott,
Aye.
Martin,
Yes.
Parker, Slater,
Yes.
Ellis.
6C, discussion of possible board action, vote to approve or not to approve the expenditures for each sub-account in the activity fund for FY 2016.
And no, we have not added any more, and the ones that we've edited from the past, they're still the same as we passed, what, about a year ago? So they should be pretty explicit and shouldn't give us any leeway on what we can spend things on. So I would make that recommendation to the board to accept the approved expenditures as presented. And at any time you see something different, we can always edit and bring it back. Because I know that's a lot of information for you.
And we had to do that on our side of it last year, whenever we added a couple of things out of that interest account that we checked with the auditor on, just adding board supplies onto that, because all that we did pay up until that time was the software agreement out of the activity side, was all we took out of that account, so, we do that. But, that was with the auditors approval.
I move we accept 6C, the sub-account in the activity fund for year 15-16.
Second.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Why do we have, it seems like every one of these basically has the same thing written down. I mean, we've got 36 for Alva High School basketball, and then for girls, we got 36, and boys, we got, it just goes on and on. Is there not any difference?
Not a whole lot, to be real honest with you. And to be real honest with you, when this was required by the state, we tried to think of everything that possibly we could spend or to make a purchase for and that type of thing. We don't do all of these, Larry, but if we have to come in and there's money, then we try to do that. And I guess we're lazy and we just do it each and every year until we find out that there's a problem with one, and then we will edit it and strike it out. So we try to review them each and every year.
I know there's a whole bunch right here.
Well, and that's all the paperwork that the state required us, and
I know.
it's been about, I almost say 20 years ago, that they required us to do all this.
Well, we can't code it to this if it's not on this list. It's really, if we have a question, the first person we're gonna call is our auditor. And the first thing he's gonna say, is it on that group's list of approved expenditures? So it's easier to have way more on there than what you might ever spend. Like, take the basketball coach's son or daughter at Fairview that was killed in a car accident a couple of years ago.
I don't know. So.
But the basketball teams wanted to send flowers because they knew that. They knew that child. They knew that coach. Well, that's why flowers is put on baseball, football, basketball, softball, because the same thing could happen to, we hope doesn't happen to another group, but we can't do it out of that group if it's not on that list.
Okay. Are you wanting a second? Or do we have?
No, you already voted on it.
So we just need to vote.
Martin,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Slater,
Yes.
McDermott,
Aye.
Ellis.
Aye. 6D, discussion on possible board action vote to approve or not to approve the list of sources of revenue. Is that right? Yeah, I'm on.
Correct.
Yep. List of sources of revenue for the activity fund for FY 2016.
And again, there's 47 items on there. And I believe they're the same 47 items that we had last year.
Did we add auctions on here?
Contributions and donations.
Is that what it is?
I
Okay.
would think that would be probably enough to cover that.
Seems to be doing a lot of that.
Fundraising projects, either one of those, because there are fundraising reports for those, so they're all for those.
All right.
What number is it?
60.
Just an hour.
E,
That's hard
E,
money.
D.
Building.
D.
That's 16.
I want to make a motion to approve. Can I give you a motion?
Yes,
Mr. Chairman,
please.
Mr. President, whatever you call you.
Steve's good.
Mr. Steve. Make a motion, we approve 6D.
Second?
McDermott,
Aye.
Martin,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Slater,
Yes.
Ellis.
Aye. 6E, discussion with possible board action vote to approve or not to approve the investment resolution for FY 2016.
And again, this is CDA, board policy, and we have to approve this each and every year.
I make a motion we approve.
Is there any changes in it the last time?
No.
Second.
Parker,
Yes.
Slater,
Yes.
McDermott,
Aye.
Martin,
Yes.
Ellis,
Aye. 6F, discussion with possible board action vote to approve or not to approve the loan agreement for food service for FY 2016.
And again, the loan agreement for the food service deficit, and so that we can pay the deficit from our general account if we do not receive enough money from federal monies and so forth. That's a yearly loan agreement. So I make that recommendation to approve that.
What was our deficit this year?
I had somewhere around 50,000
Okay.
from what she showed me.
So moved.
I second.
Slater,
Yes.
McDermott,
Aye.
Martin,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Ellis,
Aye. 6G, discussion with possible board action vote to approve or not to approve the membership renewal with Oklahoma State School Board Association for the 2016 fiscal year.
And again, I think we get a lot of good use out of our membership. We get free legal advice, we get board policy. You all get all the information that you need to be a board member, so I'd recommend to the board that we belong to the Oklahoma School Board Association again for 2015-2016 year.
So moved.
Second.
Martin,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Slater,
Yes.
McDermott, Ellis,
Aye. 6H, discussion with possible board action vote to approve or not to approve the following additional summer coaches and salaries for May and June 2015. 6H1, Taylor Schwartz, 875. 6H2, Dustin Horn, 500. 6H3, Michael Sklar, 250. And 6H4, Ryan Wilson, 250.
And again, we're kind of in a transition period from 2015 to the 2016 extra duty contract. Taylor Sweatfigger is the old pay, and it'd be half because it'd be just for May and June. And Dusty Horn is a new pay because it's $1,000 summer camp to go, so forth. And Michael Sklar and Ryan Wilson's a new pay of $250. So we will come back and readjust that after the new fiscal year starts, and it will come about through the new extra duty salary schedule. So this would be my recommendation for the end of this fiscal year to pay these coaches for these summer programs. And again, Taylor Sweatfigger gets, basically he gets $1,000 for summer weights and $875 for middle school, so that's half. And then Dusty Horn was a new program, $1,000 for summer. When we did that salary schedule in May, so he gets half of that. And then this $250 will come out of the net profits of the Summer Pride program. Okay? And so that'd be my recommendation. We'll come back to you in August, I believe, with the rest of the pay. And we do that because sometimes we get coaches leave and we pay them for doing things that they don't always get completed.
We have other coaches though that have coached during the summer. Have they been paid?
We're just starting some of the summer programs and summer camps. Now, I know Coach Ball is coaching Renegade Baseball this year, but that's not part of our program. That's a summer program. These are our particular kids. These are our high school kids. I don't know that we have anybody else that's not being paid.
We don't have other coaches that have taken them to camps.
No, all we've had is basketball camps.
We don't have boys basketball?
Paul will get his too. Summer basketball is the only thing, 7-on-7 football.
Are we doing 7-on-7 football? We are?
They canceled some of it.
I didn't know that. I haven't done it for a couple of years, I don't think.
Correct.
They're just listed here because they are new coaches.
Correct.
You make a motion, but do I need a motion to approve those?
Yes,
Are we
ma'am.
ready?
Yep.
Make a motion we approve 6H, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Second.
McDermott?
Aye.
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Slater?
Yes.
Ellis?
Aye. 6I, presentation of the dropout report 2014-2015.
We had 4 students drop out at the high school. We did not have any other students drop out in the school district. And from looking at the statistics, and Tammy might be able to help me on this a little bit, but I think it was just lack of participation in coming to school. They'd get under that 80% and finally make that final decision to just drop out, because 2 of them were actually move-ins, kind of in and out type people, but the others were just lack of participation. Once they get under that 80% where they're not going to get credit for anything, they go ahead and decide to drop out. Last year maybe 6, if I remember right. So our dropout is down a little. And there's no action to be taken on this. I just need to give you the dropout rate for the school. So
What contact is made with the student when they're absent a couple of days, and when you see a trend or a pattern happening with this student? What
I know
kind of
that the
contact?
parents are called, and I know that there are letters that go out. Tammy will bring them into her office and visit with them, and also I know Mr. Potter will visit with them and try to do a lot of things, even try to talk to them about alternative schools. What else can we do to make a successful life for you type of situation. They're given several different situations that they can achieve their high school diploma. And I think sometimes students just turn 18 and then they just decide that they're going to quit, and they can. And if anything needs to be changed, that rule needs to be changed, that they can't be a legal adult until they have a high school diploma or until 21. Something to that effect. Because when they get to be the magic 18, that seems like that's the kicker that just, well, I'll just quit. You know. But, you know, and again, maybe oil field on a couple of them with boys. Go out and get that $25 an hour job. Start working now and that type of thing. But those are less numbers than what we've seen in the past, so feel pretty good about that. And about what Tammy's doing, working with them and Les and so forth. Because it is a tough job. But there's no action on that. I just have to report to the board what our dropout rate is. So we had 4 dropouts this year.
Discussion only concerning revision of Alva Board of Education Policy DEE, travel and expenses reimbursement.
I don't think we've changed this in a long time, and this spring, we had a lot of students that were going out, not getting exorbitant meals or anything, but go to Sterling Stockade or something like that, and you're getting a $15 merchant steak, and then all of a sudden, it was a $22 bill, because they added the salad, and they added the drink to it, and so forth. And we could only pay $20 of it, because that's what our board policy was, $20 per meal. So looking at some other travel and expense reimbursements from other schools, they're at $55 a day at $25 per one meal. And, you know, I know at the state basketball tournament, we had a tough time staying within that limit of $20 per meal for the girls. So it'd be my recommendation to the board that we go from $20 a meal to $25, and for full day $55. Again, these are only meals when they stay all night. We don't pay for our teachers that go to a one-day in-service or whatever, because our auditor won't let us. We can pay out of our activity accounts for the meals for our activity teams, but still paying $20 sometimes is especially in the city area, it's tough to get that. So I would make that recommendation from 20 to 25 and from 40 to 55. Because I think breakfast I ate at Waffle House last week was like $12. I didn't think I had too much. 2 eggs over easy, bacon, and 2 waffles. And coffee.
The coffee. That was it.
Hey, 3.5.
The coffee.
$3.50
Oh,
for a cup of coffee.
2 waffles?
Well, they were small.
2 waffles?
They were small. My breakfast is my big. I love it.
I do too.
But
Big breakfast, Doctor.
it is. Yeah. But it has been a problem. But I think that's fair that we do that. So that would be my recommendation to the board.
Discussion only, right?
Excuse me.
That one was discussion only anyways, I believe.
Yeah, because we have to discuss that for a month and then come back and
Okay.
vote on it. It's a good call.
Okay. 6K, discussion with possible board action vote to approve or not to approve the transfer of attractive land located in the southwest quarter of Section 23, Township 27 North, Range 14 West of the Indian Meridian, Woods County, Oklahoma, to the Pete and Ruth Leslie Foundation.
And again, this is what Kingfisher has done. They have deeded land to their foundation so that they can build an indoor facility, not have to follow the rules and regulations. The original agreement was to do this with the Pete and Ruth Leslie Foundation. Here are some preliminary plans of the buildings that I just got today. I don't have the final plans by any means. But, and again, I'll still have to go to the courthouse, and I'll have to get this deeded over to the Pete and Ruth Leslie Foundation, and they can, is that everybody?
Oh,
Checked with the lawyer the other day, and he said that we'd be in compliance if the board voted on that and directed me to take that to the courthouse to get the quitclaim deed processed that way, and then they could start on the building. Right now, the county commissioners have got all the concrete taken up out of the old tennis courts and leveled out, and it's basically in their process now to start coming in there to pour some foundation. They can't do anything of that nature until the board quit claims the deed of tract of land to the foundation to be able to do that. And then after the completion of the building, they will deed it back to us.
Is there any possible amount that this is going to cost?
where's the witness?
I keep hearing, right at $1.2 million. Mhm.
What was that figure? Yeah, I'm sorry.
1.2 is what I hear. But I'm not sure that's the correct number either. And the tennis courts were surveyed by David Cox, and he did that back in May, and we have all the descriptions, and we just need to take it to the courthouse if you all agree to do this.
Kind of walk us through the plans. Can you do that?
They want to start doing the foundation, I understand, within 3 weeks. And they will pour the foundation for the indoor practice facility first. They've already ordered the building. And in the indoor facility itself will be, I think, just one boys and one girls bathroom and water for a drinking fountain. And the rest of it's just going to be open for a practice facility per se. Not going to be any air conditioning, going to be a heater in there. They're going to have some doors
In this part right here,
in the big part.
there'll be 2 restrooms in that facility.
The way I understand it.
Which one are you looking at?
The big
The
building.
big one, this is how it lays, with the high school. Here it is, off the auditorium. There's the new part of it.
So this is just a big indoor facility, nothing inside it. There will be practice nets, there will be AstroTurf.
And that's how this is, it'll set like this, but there will be some restrooms in the big part.
I understand this.
And then it'll actually be, as you see the elevation, this part is what's fit onto this is how it'll look. This is gonna fit out on it, right?
Mhm.
On the big building. And in this, it looks like there's a dressing room,
Locker, weight room,
there's a coach's offices, this is a better
and
drawing
storage
right
up,
here.
storage upstairs.
A war room, which will be where they look at film, is that what a war room is?
So this is a phase 1 and phase 2, or are they going to phase, or is all of it going to be done? You said the building has been purchased.
Both buildings have been purchased, from the way I understand it.
Okay.
So this is,
There has been additional money
so they're not connected.
that
Is it
has
corridor?
been given to us by Share Trust to build the dressing room.
The only thing I don't see in here is women's locker room.
There's not going to be a women's locker room, Coach. They have all the girls' locker rooms over in school. This is just going to be a workout facility. The dressing room is just going to be a football dressing room. The old dressing room will go to the middle school, football and visiting dressing teams. And visiting teams to dress in football games.
Now, wait a minute. Say all that again.
The indoor facility is not going to have any dressing rooms whatsoever. That's going to be multi-sex, whatever you want. Anybody can use it.
The big building.
Right. The other building will be the football locker room. And that will be for the high school, and then the old locker room will go to the middle school, plus the visiting teams that play here will have that locker room in the future.
But this will have 2 restrooms
Yes.
in the big room. It doesn't have it drawn, but
And there'll be facilities for the girls in those areas to use the bathroom and so forth.
there's a women's restroom here, which I thought was nice, like for trainers and such.
Well, that, yes. Plus, the girls could go in there and lift weights too. Yeah.
Now, is the weight room going to be big enough?
They say it is, Coach.
I don't know. I'm just asking.
They tell me it is.
what is our district's responsibility in any of this?
At this point in time, the only responsibility that we will have will be for the upkeep.
A custodian to take care of it and that
Heat.
when heat,
It's all donated.
Is this attached, or is this, it says it's a corridor, is this covered between the two buildings?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought the buildings were-
This is the first time I've seen it tonight. He brought him by while I was gone. So I haven't looked at the final plans yet at all.
Okay, it shows some upper level. Is that just for storage? Okay.
Yeah, because, you know, we don't have a true place to store our high jump or pole vault, plus all the football uniforms and the helmets. In the old, they had a pretty good sized storage area that we stored all the uniforms and football helmets and those types of things, shoulder pads, so there'll be storage upstairs.
Is there something, another level of this fitness
No,
or weight room?
no, it's all storage upstairs. That's all down on the ground floor.
So that's above it, above the weight room?
Yes.
40 by 92, that's a pretty good size weight room.
What's the basketball court?
I don't know.
50 by 100?
47 feet wide.
We got it on half right now.
And what's the time frame for completion that is anticipated?
They say October, but I doubt it.
For both facilities?
No, for the intern, the workout room, the big area,
For the practice facility.
practice facility.
so the total thing is, you're saying is 1.2 million, the whole thing, but they're only going to do the first phase, I mean, the large.
They're gonna put both buildings up, okay, together, but I'm not sure how much they're gonna do to the dressing rooms at this point in time this year. The indoor practice facility will be complete.
And then that piece would be deeded back to the school.
Yes,
There would be a new survey done just for the big building. Is that what you're telling us? And then we're gonna have another piece that's,
the way I understand it. They may get it all completed, both buildings. And there's, the interior is the only other thing. I don't know.
Who's going to be like, who's oversight? I mean, who's going to be out there on a day-to-day basis? And is there a project manager or
I don't know who they've got. I know that Matt Bixler is going to be construction overseer for them. But
for the rest of the
I plan on being out there quite a bit.
I will be out there.
Huh?
I will be out there.
There you go.
Well, there you go. I feel better. Well, I won't.
I don't have anything better to do.
Well, good. I'm glad you have time to do it. Really, I am. That's a very
Be
honest
interesting.
statement.
So, I think the thing that bothers me is you keep saying, as far as I understand. And are things nailed down, written in blood, the whole, the whole thing to where I mean, we can understand it, we could vote on something with all the assurance that everything's going to be taken care of, and
When you deed the property over, you're deeding it to them, and you're deeding all the construction and everything to the foundation. Legally, probably we don't have any say in it after we deed that, but morally and as a community, yes, we will. I think. And before they start any construction, before we get this completed, I will ask for completed plans.
so this is just a discussion tonight, and are we gonna
Well,
vote
we're
on
asking to
anything?
vote on it, but we can have a discussion and bring it back. And I can talk to Greg in the morning and see if he's got the plans and everything, and get it to you for the July 2nd board meeting. If you'd like that,
I think I'd feel more comfortable
it's fine.
with that.
Just discussion
I mean,
only.
I don't know how, I mean, this is really a good thing, I don't know. I just think I need to know a little more.
That's fine.
Yeah, we have time, don't we, to Thursday, yeah.
So we could just, no vote taken, bring it back to you on
I mean,
Thursday.
that's just my idea, whatever anybody else, I mean, that's just what I was thinking. Whatever,
Can you vote on can you do the deed thing with a continuance of a more full disclosure at a July board meeting?
Oh, I think you can put anything in your motion at that point in time.
I mean, I think the deeding of the land is not what we're thinking, we're ready to, I'm ready to do that, obviously.
You just want to see the plan.
Well, I just think, and I think sometimes, I think they would want, I would if I were them, some sort of a contract, an agreement of some sort as to what everyone's responsibility is in it all.
Okay?
You know,
Is there an agreement between us and the foundation?
Just right now, verbal agreement.
I think something in some sort of form would be.
Okay?
It doesn't, it doesn't have to be written in blood, but I think for their purposes, that they agree to do this, we agree to do that, and then we agree to accept what they have finished, and we agree to take care of it, and we, what we agree to, and what they agree to, and kind of a somewhat ballpark date of when they're expecting it to be deeded back to us,
Okay.
and I don't think that'd be too.
I don't think that's a problem at all. So
they-
let's just have a discussion on this and no board action, and we'll bring it back Thursday. And I'll get hold of Mr. Glass tomorrow.
Please let him know how excited we are,
Absolutely.
and that we're so excited. But I need some.
Steve, I think you still need to call for a vote. Just call for a motion. And just-
And it dies like a motion.
Yeah,
Can we just table it?
I don't know.
We have to do something.
Can we table it for further action?
Table it.
Okay, that's what we want to do.
Right, I said, was somebody just make a motion to make
well,
sure.
we could, it could die for lack of second, if you.
That looks negative.
Yeah.
Okay.
I make a motion, we table the discussion on the Pete Ruth Leslie Foundation till Thursday.
We need a little bit more, I think. on the tract of land at least, we need to put that in there, discussion on the tract of land.
That's fine.
Just table item 6K.
Yeah, we can do that.
I'll make a motion, we table item 6K.
There you go.
Second.
Parker,
Yes.
Slater,
Yes.
McDermott,
Aye.
Martin,
Yes.
Ellis.
Aye. 6L, discussion with possible board action, vote to approve or not to approve the mural agreement with the Alba Mural Society.
Kevin?
Yes.
Wayne Kinsey, Jim Ritchie were approached me a long time ago about painting some murals on the high school, just like what we've got. I wanted to paint one of Jack Ging, who was, went to the University of Oklahoma, an actor, and also the 1929 basketball team. What is that? What's that?
24, that's the 24.
That's,
Look, but
that's new uniform, they're gonna, just a draw from, but put in the old uniforms.
Oh, okay.
Because they didn't have a real good picture, I think, James.
there is a pretty good picture.
Well, look through there, there's some. But they want to put, see, that's what they want to put.
Okay, there's the old uniform.
Yes, the old uniform, but
But
they
not
wanted
this-
an action, they wanted an action.
I see.
But two of them would be on the east side of the auditorium. And so you would have the Gold Bug to the south, you'd have the basketball team on the east, you'd have Jack Ging on the east, and then the history of the Gold Bug to the north. And then Edna Donnelly, who was Teacher of the Year in the United States and was given her award by
Yes,
President Eisenhower at the time, down on the south of the auditorium.
Well, it's a lot different girls' hair now than back then. Who's the coach?
I don't know. This year, I can't remember. The only one that I remember on there as a member is a Hazard, and that was a Star Hazard, a classmate of mine's great grandmother.
I still have that trophy.
Yeah. But they have an agreement and with the building owner that they give out, and I think it enhances our property in the town of Alva. I have no problem with it.
Did they jump center in 24? Are we sure of that?
It's a good question.
I don't think they did. So,
I'll talk to Jim Ritchie.
Can you sit on the auditorium?
Yeah, on the south side of the auditorium.
I'm
in
so glad
Donna.
you're knowledgeable about those
well, I don't think
things.
so.
Well, I don't think they did
I think they
either.
took it out.
They took it out. And that, I mean, but is he trying to replicate that scene?
I don't know whether he's rebounding it or she's layup
I think that's
or if
shooting.
it's a jump ball. But it would come across as, looks like a jump ball. at
Because she's
first.
on the other end of the floor.
Well, there's another goal.
We could leave it up to everybody's
My mom said
imagination.
that until she
pick a
was a
choice.
sophomore in high school, for girls' basketball, the floor was divided into 3 sections.
Steve,
And they
it
were
hasn't been
only-
that long ago I played that way.
Oh, is that right? And they, well, she said they were only allowed to dribble the ball once.
That's right.
Grandmother, when she played,
Now we have to dribble them all.
Okay.
my grandmother
But
played.
it- before it was dribbled just once.
Sections.
My mother-
Dribbled one.
Yeah, that's what my mom
One
said.
dribble.
And more skirts.
Before it was in the-
I'd make sure these shoes are right too. I don't know.
But I have no
This
objections
is,
to that if
this
you
is
all.
quite an honor.
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
White D.
I think it's very nice for them to do that.
So
think-
I would make that motion to approve the request.
I make a motion we approve 6L.
Second?
Parker,
Yes.
Slater,
Yes.
McDermott.
Aye.
Martin.
Yes.
Ellis.
Aye. 6M, discussion with possible board action, vote to approve or not to approve the local education agency agreement with Big Five Community Services Incorporated to provide services for eligible children with disabilities ages 3 through 5 who are served in the Head Start in the 2016 fiscal year.
Change the name, it's Head Start. Head Start did not even exist last year at all. It went through reorganization and so forth. So this is the new name, Big Five Community. They're going to be out at the hospital again and use those facilities. And I would recommend that we go into this contract with Big Five Community.
I so move.
Second?
McDermott.
Aye.
Martin.
Yes.
Parker.
Yes.
Slater.
Yes.
Ellis.
Aye. 6N, discussion with possible board action, vote to approve or not to approve the fiscal year 2016 assignments as follows: 6N through 6N38.
I don't think there are any changes from a year ago except for we have not had an asbestos coordinator, and we have an audit this year, and we do have to have an asbestos coordinator. And because of the nature of that, Clint Harsman worked with that person, went with that person, has to do with custodial. So I would make him the asbestos coordinator for 2016. But these are all the same people, the same jobs. And I'd recommend to the board that you approve these.
Where is the asbestos?
Where is
Where
it?
do we have asbestos?
We have it in some of our pipe at the high school, and encapsulated insulation around the pipes. Also have it in some old tile in the old classrooms and so forth. So anytime we have to replace tile, we have to contact people, let them know what we're doing, that type of thing.
Okay, do you have someone come in at an asbestos abatement? People come
We
in
get to do
that?
it
Okay.
ourselves, as long as we don't crush it and make it into a powdery surface and so forth.
And none of these have been changed?
No.
Okay. I make a motion that we vote to approve 6N1 through 6N38.
Second.
Martin.
Yes.
Parker.
Yes.
Slater.
Yes.
McDermott.
Aye.
Ellis.
Aye. 6O, discussion with possible board action, vote to approve or not to approve the renewal of the lease of five passenger buses for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2016, as required under the provisions of the lease agreement dated July 1st, 2014 and October 6th, 2014 between Napa Public Schools and Ross Transportation.
These are not new buses, these continued on our bus lease. And the October 6th, 2014 was the addition to the handicap, so I'd recommend that we continue leasing with Ross Transportation for 2016 fiscal year.
I make a motion we do 6O.
Second. Parker.
Yes.
McDermott.
Aye.
Martin.
Yes.
Slater.
Yes.
Ellis.
Aye. 6P, discussion with possible board action, vote to approve or not to approve the renewal of the lease of Apple computers for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2016, as required under the provisions of the lease agreement dated April 8th, 2014 between Napa Public Schools and Apple Incorporated.
I have that in front of you because it was a 4-year lease. We just have to do it on a yearly basis. If you'll remember, the Sheriff Trust And also, the Wisdom Foundation is paying a third, and the Alva Public School is paying a third. And I'd recommend that we continue the Apple lease. Had a lot of success with our students using the Apple, and so I'd make that recommendation to you all.
Are the teachers utilizing that in their classroom?
I think we're starting to more and more. It takes a while, but I know Chris Eckhart is, I know Miss Algrim is, and the only ones I can't really get to, and I'll have to jump on less, is the math teachers. They just don't want to use it in their math. But I think most of the others are using it.
Coach Dollar was used in his classroom.
Yeah,
He will.
Whoa.
that's right. And I know at the middle school with the labs that they have in their particular classes with those, that the language arts teachers are utilizing it almost every day down there. So I think it will just domino a little bit more next year.
I move that we renew the lease with Apple Computers for fiscal year 2016.
Second.
Slater,
Yes.
McDermott,
Aye.
Martin,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Ellis.
Aye. 6Q, discussion with possible board action, vote to approve or not approve a lease with Northwestern Oklahoma State University and the Alva School District for the use of the NWOSU football stadium and parking facilities during the Alva High School football games.
You know, 4 years ago, we got into an agreement with the college to help offset some light purchase for the Northwestern. And when this was started, we thought that we could do the same thing for the turf. We get the ability to use it, utilize that football field and all the surroundings. So I would recommend that we join in this agreement for 2016 with Northwestern to utilize the football field. And maybe this will stop the rumors that we're not going to get to go to the football field to play football next year. It's been going on forever.
So what is our lease agreement?
25,000 years. And we can renew it or not in the future. Once we get this completed, I don't think there's going to be any rent on it whatsoever.
How many more years?
What was that you
Through
said?
2019.
2019, once we get this full
We
year
did,
lease.
we did the poles, and now
The lights.
now we're doing the turf for 4 more years.
And once we do that, I don't think we'll have to pay anything.
Unless we do
Another building project up there or something.
I make a motion we do 6Q.
second.
Parker,
Yes.
Slater,
Yes.
McDermott,
Aye.
Martin,
Yes.
Ellis.
Aye. 6R, discussion with possible board action, vote to approve or not approve a lease and service agreement with Dirk's Copy with Dirk's Copy Products Incorporated for 7 digital copiers for the Alva School District.
And again, this is the same lease and the amount of money for our copiers. We will be saving money because we're going to buy the 2 in the superintendent's office because we have less than 500,000 copiers and they made us a good deal, so we're going to save some money on that. But the same amount as we did the last year, and we're also basically upping the usage to 1,000,007 compared to 1,000,005 or something like that, Becky. Is that right?
That's right, I just heard those numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So they've been real good to us and worked with us, so I would recommend that we continue our lease with
So moved.
Second.
Slater,
Yes.
McDermott,
Aye.
Martin,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Ellis.
Aye. 6S, Discussion with possible board action, vote to approve or not to approve continuing contracts, lease agreements which are continuing into 2016 fiscal year pending appropriation approval and until the renewal date for the contract lease agreement, at which time the board will have the option to renew or not to renew. 6S1 Bank Central / Bus Barn Internet Service, 6S2 Munn Supply Cylinder Lease, 6S3 Pitney Bowes Mailing Machine, 6S4 Index Fire Alarm Monitoring.
And again, these are annual, so I'd make the recommendation to the board to continue. We've had good success with all 4 companies.
I make a motion that we approve 6S 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Second?
McDermott?
Aye.
Martin?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Slater?
Yes.
Ellis?
Aye. 6T, discussion with possible board action, vote to approve or not to approve the contract with Oklahoma School Assurance Group for workers' compensation insurance for the 2016 fiscal year.
We have been with OSAG for several years, and as you can see on page 3, we had a credit amount of $4,464 and loss fund amount of $6,831 last year, so I would recommend to the board that we continue our workers' comp with OSAG.
I move we approve the contract with Oklahoma School Assurance Group for workers' compensation insurance for the year 16 fiscal year.
Second. Martin?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Slater?
Yes.
McDermott?
Aye.
Ellis?
Aye. 6U, discussion with possible board action, vote to approve or not to approve the contract for Precision Testing Laboratories Incorporated for the asbestos operations and maintenance contract for the 2016 fiscal year.
And again, they will come and they will look at all of our facilities, make recommendations to us, even work with the state asbestos supervisor, and we have been in business with them ever since I know, so I would make that recommendation that we continue working with Precision Testing.
I so move.
Second.
McDermott?
Aye.
Martin?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Slater?
Yes.
Ellis?
Aye. 6B, discussion with possible board action, vote to approve or not to approve the contract for liability and vehicle insurance from OSAG for the 2016 fiscal year.
Been working with them for about 10, 15 years. They're giving us a $9,000 smaller payment this year from what we paid in the past. I know Richard's been very happy with them, and we've been very happy, so I'd make that recommendation that we continue our insurance with those cities. And if you'll remember, a year ago, we tried to do all that car insurance. Nobody would bid on it. Finally got OSAG to bid on it. So, but in our property coverage and so forth, they've been really good. So I would recommend that we continue to go with OSAG for the 2016 fiscal year.
I move that we approve contract for liability and vehicle insurance from OSIG for the 2016 fiscal year.
Second. Martin?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Slater?
Yes.
McDermott?
Aye.
Ellis?
Aye. 6W, discussion and possible board action, vote to approve or not to approve the open student transfers for 2015-2016 school year.
And again, we have 6 that we need to vote on, and then after you approve this request for an open transfer, then we can present you with the names. Now they become our students and under our purple policy.
Make a,
Good.
no, I make a motion, we do 6W.
Second.
Parker,
Yes.
Slater,
Yes.
McDermott,
Aye.
Martin,
Yes.
Ellis.
Aye.
Okay, and the new students to our area are Kaylee Cotton, Stephen Harwell, Jagger Lohman, Jordan Lohman, Austin Sklar, and Cody Sklar. So they will be coming to our school next year.
I wrote on it, but I'll check my part off.
Here, you want
Just
this?
giving that one and I'll print you a new one. That's fine. I took some notes on the bottom of mine about the upcoming summer conference, so.
They're coming from Winoka and.
Sklars are coming from Winoka, Lohmans are coming from Cherokee, and
Allen.
Mally. And we're getting a couple more families in from Mally Cleo that are actually moving into the school district, according to the mothers today.
Item 7, proposed executive session to discuss AAA negotiations.